I'm the president of New America, and it's my privilege to introduce Dr. George Poste, whose title is alone appropriate to the occasion today. He is the chief scientist for the Complex Adaptive Systems Initiative at Arizona State University. I met him on a visit out there and was impressed by him in many ways. He is obviously an innovator in his field, but he's an innovator as well in constructing interdisciplinary environments for breakthrough science. He was the founder and director of the Biodesign Institute at Arizona State between 2003 and 2009. He is a Regents Professor at the university still and active in research there. He serves on the board of directors of Monsanto, a company whose name I can't pronounce, but I'm sure is very important, Caris Life Sciences, and he's on the scientific advisory board of synthetic genomics. He's also been on the Defense Science Board between 2003 and 2009. It's really a privilege to have George Poste here today. Please welcome him to the microphone.
Steve and Joel, thank you very much for the invitation to join you. Winston Churchill used to say that if you were going to address people at a luncheon, you would hope that they were well-educated, well-fed, and slightly drunk. There may be something missing from today's equation in that context, but at least I have no difficulty talking over the clink of silverware because it exceeds the jeers and boos that might otherwise come. Joel asked me to have what I would call a more journalistic title. This is not the sort of title I would ordinarily use in the context of scholarship, but it is nonetheless the issue of biology, computing, and where the convergence, particularly of those two disciplines with engineering, comes in. So certainly our military colleagues in the room will have been forced to read Clausewitz on multiple occasions, but I think the quote is self-evident, and I think it then follows to the contemporary principle that security is determined by the nature of the threats and their deployment, and that there is no single security policy that we can discuss today that will in fact address the diversity of the threats that we are playing with. We have obviously over the past 2 decades seen the emergence of not only a very different climate for the interpretation of military and national security affairs, whether it be counterterrorism, the rise of weapons of mass destruction, and overwhelmingly the move which was unthinkable prior to 9/11 that the Quadrennial Defense Review would ever refer to defense of the homeland. For those of you familiar with the Quadrennial Defense Review, if 9/11 had occurred 7 days later, there wouldn't have been a single mention of the word Homeland Defense, but since it was rapidly republished, Homeland Defense became very much a centerpiece of that particular QDR. But it does mean that the sharp end of the spear in the conduct of asymmetric warfare has appropriately moved to very specialized special forces operations, but all of the supporting technologies that go with that means that we have moved from the old Cold War metaphor of easy to find, hard to kill, to a framework in which it's difficult to find, but easy to kill once you've actually identified them, but there are some caveats. Because it's very much how do you pick out individuals, as I've tried to depict in that last issue. This is not new, of course. If you read other historians, this is Liddell Hart writing on an interpretation of Lawrence's campaign in Arabia, and I think it's as good a definition as asymmetric warfare and many of the contemporary challenges that we're facing, as you could see. I should have mentioned, because this is PowerPoint overkill, for which I apologize, all of these will be available on the ASU website. So we've just had a new Quadrennial Defense Review, and I've highlighted in orange really the issue of what I'm primarily talking about today. Prepare, defeat, disruptive other nations. That's the constellation. And it is in that framework that there are 3 general principles. Technology is moving ever faster. Previously disparate fields of technology are converging.